Here at Chipotle, we know that surveillance techniques are refined and developed against overseas populations before being brought back home. We know what you're doing, and that's why the Binlada Amlosa Burrito is just what you need. 28 cheeses are involved. Only this week.
Welcome to Apocalypse Soon. On tonight's show, the last news anchor in the world, Joe DeRosa, the Beefy, and now your host, Eddie Pepitone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Apocalypse Soon, the podcast with no upside. That's right, we are staring the disintegration of society straight in the face, the breakdown of everything we know. And welcome to the studio with our house band, Bobby and the Mephistophelians. Bobby!
Hey, baby, how you doing? It's a beautiful day. I'm feeling fine.
You are, Bobby, and you know, while the planet breaks down, while society breaks down, while civility breaks down, your attitude remains remarkably consistent. How do you do it?
I take a decent amount of drugs. I get up in the morning every day. I put my feet on the floor and I say, thank you, God, for this beautiful
What
day.
a simple man. He says, thank you, God.
That's right.
He puts his feet on the floor. Can I ask you, can we get a witness, Bobby?
Amen. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah, baby.
Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. We have wars going on around the globe because there are sick warmongers. Sick warmongers all over the planet, particularly in the U.S., who push war. Yet, Bobby, you still have great attitude.
I keep it positive. I keep it, excited. Sometimes I look over my wife and I go, okay, God, I see what you're doing here. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy,
Bobby, home life is a tough thing.
It's rough.
But it also is what grounds us.
That's right.
Right. Whether it's tragedy, whether it's comedy at home, mostly tragedy. Sometimes a flood of tragedy, sometimes a tsunami of tragedy. Bobby, thank you, but let's welcome our producer now, Kevin Tinkin.
Word up, Eddie Pepitone.
Yeah, baby. Here we are, another beautiful. Remember when records used to skip?
Oh, yeah.
But we don't have that anymore. I don't think.
No.
There's no, and I want to talk to the younger generation about this.
They don't know.
They don't know.
Did you
hear what Kevin said? Right to the fucking point.
I don't pussyfoot
You
around.
don't know, younger people, what you missed in the days of yore. You miss record skipping. You miss record skipping. You miss record skipping. You missed record. Do you know how long that could go on if you were high? And there was, no, I'm serious. And you first are like, oh, maybe this is Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Doing a purposeful skip. Like they are like repeating.
Yeah. Number nine.
Number nine.
Yeah.
Number nine.
By the way, when you said, you know how long that can go on when you're high, I thought you were talking about how long you could do the bit when you were high. You're like, you know how long I can do that when I'm high? You would never believe it.
No, you totally got the wrong idea. But what I want to say to the younger people is that you've missed the things of yore. And the things of yore, it's a great novel by Butterscup Lollipop. Butterscup Lollipop was a high man in Wyoming. He was high as hell. Butterscup Lollipop, and that's how he named himself. And Butterscup, Butterscup Lollipop wrote things of yore. And one thing you guys missed out on too are payphones. Yeah. Fucking payphones on the street, or in a Wyoming field. There were payphones in the fields of Wyoming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you would just put, it got to be a quarter, but I remember, now I really sound old. I remember when a payphone was a dime.
Is
You
that
would
true?
just put a dime in a payphone, and then you would make a call. Oh my God, my colostomy bag just exploded.
Oh, God.
Oh my God! Luckily, I keep candy in it like a piñata. One of the children just hit my colostomy bag because they thought it was a piñata, so I always put candy in it. Now look, Days of Yore, The Things of Yore by Butterscotch Hittleworth, or whatever his fucking name is. It was just a character I came up with immediately. You
great.
think it's easy? You think it's easy to do these podcasts for me and Tinkin? Me and Tinkin, he's getting calls right now on his phone. He can't answer them. These are life and death calls he's turning down.
Not
his house is being burnt to the ground. His wife is kidnapped and being threatened. Whatever it is, he can't answer it because of this podcast.
You're damn right. Yeah, my wife, she called me. She said, the kids are in the hospital. I go, I'm on the pod with Pepitone. Don't interrupt me.
Now, if there was a nuclear attack, and as you know, the doomsday clock is very close to midnight, seconds to midnight, not minutes, seconds. See Noam Chomsky, okay? If there was a nuclear attack right now, me and Kevin would have to continue.
Absolutely. The viewers need it. We owe it to them.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that? I just want to know that you hear that. I think our sound system is working, so you can hear that. And that is the most important thing on a podcast. If the sound system is working, so I hope you can hear that. And if you were younger, you missed payphones. You missed eating an apple and with like a bandana type of thing on and not having a care in the world. Now, I don't think people can eat apples without a care in the world.
No, it's hard.
There's so much garbage. There's so much refuse. There's so much anxiety right now. You know what it's like to eat an apple being anxious? It's hard to get your teeth into an apple these days because of anxiety. And that's why every pink lady apple, every Macintosh, every green apple, every, Honeycrisp, what's
Fuji?
a Fuji apple, which is also a camera. Fuji puts out an Apple camera, which confuses so many fucking people, including Apple. Apple puts out apples. Fuji puts out a Fuji apple. Why are we so fucked up with apples? Why do apples have so many dual meanings? Are apples made by the CIA? Is Apple Annie, the famous character Apple Annie, who used to sell apples? I believe it was in a Broadway musical. Kevin is looking at me like a dog who doesn't understand because he's young. And you missed Apple Annie. We are in a universe. We are in space. We are consciousness. We are consciousness that has taken physical form. We are human, but we're consciousness, and we're too identified with our fucking minds. I am extremely identified with my mind. I should be just thinking about spaciousness, about the great amount of spaciousness that exists in the universe. I burped there because I came into this form.
You can't.
We are in the end of days, folks. And I laugh there because what the fuck else are we going to do? If you're not willing to get out in the streets, don't give me, I voted stickers. I've said this before, we're all going to be in camps with I voted stickers on. The hedge fund BlackRock. And they're going to charge. You know what is going to be the difference from the fucking Nazi camps is they're going to charge us to be in a camp.
Yeah. You get a bill.
You get a bill for being in a fucking camp. Could you imagine that? Like, did any mail come? Like you're in a camp.
Yeah.
With your family, if you're lucky, if you haven't been separated from your family,
Yeah.
you're like, honey, any mail? Yeah, we got the bill. We got the bill for what? We stand around and get tortured. Yeah, it's costing us.
It costs a lot of money to
But
get
I
tortured.
can't. But we're not working. I guess we pay it when we get out. It does accumulate. I can't believe it.
We just got the bill for your grandfather's execution.
We just got. Did you hear that sentence? We just got the bill for your grandfather's execution. This is almost akin. Do you know if you're hiking and you get lost and a helicopter has to be sent for you to like lift you off a mountain, you get billed for that?
Yeah. They
Has
don't
that
fuck
ever
around.
happened to you? I know you got a speeding ticket a while ago.
I love helicopter rides, so
Do you get lost on purpose because of that?
I sometimes do. I always, my wife always goes, wait a second. She'll see me going out the door with a flare gun. She goes, you're going to get lost, aren't you? I go, I just love the plane rides. The helicopters, the choppers, it's beautiful.
There is nothing like getting lost on a hiking trail with only trail mix. First of all, trail mix becomes deplorable after 2 or 3 days hiking. How many fucking sesame seeds? How many goddamn small pieces of almonds and walnuts can we eat? Oh, and we go healthy, so we don't get the chocolate. And then we regret not having the chocolate in the trail mix. And we're there lost, and we don't hear the helicopter blade, and we start having to eat things on the floor, on the forest floor. Luckily, I find sandwiches on the forest floor. I'm lucky that way.
You are lucky. You're always able to scrounge up a sandwich, no matter where you're at.
And the bread is baked daily.
That's right.
In these sandwiches that I find.
That's right.
I usually find Joey Rose's sandwiches. You'll find out more about that later in the podcast.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like getting lost
Nothing like it.
in wilderness without any knowledge of east, west, north, and south.
Yeah.
Which describes me. I have no sense of direction. I walk toward the light. And if the light is all around me, I don't know which way to fucking go.
By the way, I have to tell you something. So my daughter had a sleepover the other day, and she's telling her friend, she goes, yeah, my dad's a famous comedian. I go, take it easy. Like, that's not the best way to describe me. And then she goes, yeah, but you're on a podcast with Eddie Pepitone. And the other girl, and these are 12-year-old girls. The other girl goes, really? And I'm like, yeah. So you've got an audience.
They know my...
They know.
Do you hear that?
The 12-year-olds know.
I am popular with 12-year-olds. And that is because 12-year-olds know that it's all going to end. All of it. All of it. Life as we know it. 5 words. And the young know that. Even though they've missed out on payphones in fields. They've missed out on record skipping. They've missed out on certain things that many species that have gone extinct. The rhino, which is actually quite sad. Everything, all things going extinct. But we have a great show for you. Thanks for joining Apocalypse Soon. Even I fucked that up. Thanks for joining Apocalypse Soon. We'll be right back.
And now join us for the last newscaster.
I am the last newscaster, the last man on the planet. There has been nuclear war, and I'm insane. That's right, I'm insane. There is no life on the planet except me. Our top story tonight, I'm fucking crazy. I am fucking nuts. Because there's no other life but me. And now, let's go to Biff with the weather. Hi, it's me, Biff. What's the weather? Nuclear radiation. That's the weather. It's not good. The weather is not good. The weather sucks balls. And now, let's go to Frank with sports. Hi, it's me again. Insane. Pretending to be Frank with sports. Today in baseball, nothing. Nothing. It's fucking over. It's over. Now back to the news with Insane. Hi! Again, recapping our top story. I'm insane! Really fucking crazy. And if anybody is hearing this, as far as I know, there's no life on the planet. And if there's anybody hearing this, please contact me. In other news, there is no other news. It's just death. That's what the other news is. Let's now go to, I don't know, Bob. Bob, who is with no one. There is no Bob. There's no one he's with. I'm just trying to do a newscast here. Let's go to no one. How can I throw into someone? I'm running this studio equipment by myself. Luckily, it's very easy to do with the new technology. I love GoPro. All right, that's the news. We'll be back tomorrow night at 6 when we cover stories such as I am the last surviving man on the planet, the last newscaster.
Thanks for joining us for The Last Newscaster with Eddie Pepitone.
All right, everybody. Our guest today is a solid comedian, a New York staple. I was lucky enough to hang out with Joey in L.A. for some time where we would both bitch about the vacuity of L.A., about the vapid, vacuous, just emptiness of L.A. And Joey's back in New York. He has a sandwich shop called Joey Rose's. Is that right, Joey?
Yeah, that's the name.
Hey,
Joey Rose's. It's a bar, too.
It's a bar, too.
We call it a social club.
You know, you are very good with the English language because most people would just call it a sandwich shop. Already, it's like you do this little dance. You know what I mean? You do a word dance. It's like flash dance without the sex. It's like, no. We call it it's a bar too, besides, and it's a social club. Mm-hmm. You know, when you say social club, Joey, I just picture Italians in wife beaters playing dominoes and, saying, he should have called. He should have called.
That was No, that was kind of the initial goal, We wanted to create a full service experience versus just food-based thing. Not just because we wanted the experience to be there, but also too, financially, it makes it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah,
to offer both things than just one thing. So, but then we came up with Social Club because we kept calling it. Initially, we kept calling it a dive bar, and we were like, it's not really a dive bar. It could fall in that category, but we're not setting out to create a dive bar. We're setting out to create something that feels like it existed 30 years ago, and everything we were referencing was a social club in an Italian movie for the most part. It was like, remember where they hung out in this movie? Remember when they hung out in that movie? That's what we kept coming back to.
So I was on the right track there.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, I never forgot when Pesci? When Joe Pesci thought he was going to be made and they were killing him, and there was that second where he realized it. He said, oh, no. And I think we've all been there. For me, it was getting born. I was like, when I was born, I looked around, I said, oh, no. Life. Fucking life. They tricked me. They fucking conned me.
It's
because
brutal.
I don't know about you, Joey, but I was happy being a disembodied, fucking nobody. I didn't want this body. I've made the most of it. I keep it trim. It's a sex organ. It's a sex
keep it tight.
thing. I keep it tight. Again, a wordsmith. That's in
My
New York.
vocabulary is so bad, it's insane. So,
Well,
I appreciate you calling me a wordsmith.
You're originally from
Philadelphia.
That's
but
why. People don't in Philly. It's words are really not the chosen means of communication. It's usually baseball bat or food.
Well, I know. I mean, that's very funny, but it is a wordy place. It's a I can't keep anything to myself kind of place. It's not a place where people bite their lip. And I grew up in a family like that. That's one of the biggest fights, or not fights, but one of the most common arguments I'll get into with my mom still.
Yeah.
Is I'll go, does anything just stay in your head? Anything, because it's just like, my God, it pops in and she's like, well, this is what I think. And you're like, I didn't ask. I don't care.
Italian?
It's usually
Italian,
negative
Joey?
too. I don't want to sound like an asshole.
It's usually negative.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Now there's two modes of thought. There's two schools of thought about that. Shrinks say it's good to get all this shit out of your head. You know what I mean? Like to hold it in. To hold it in until you write a very long manifesto. And by the way, people who write manifestos, I want to just say this. Joey, just hang on for a second. I want to say this to the people who write manifestos. Fucking be concise. Say what you're going to do.
Yes.
And fucking, say it in less than 30 pages. Okay?
Right.
Just fucking say who you're going to kill, when you're going to kill, and why you're going to kill. Imagine a creative writing workshop for for psycho manifesto writers.
I'll tell you what every manifesto needs: bullet points.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
Can you please? Yeah, just bullet point this. What do I need to know?
Look, if you're going to blow up an Apple Watch factory, immediately get to that. Get to, and why don't you like the Apple Watch instead of, I was forced into slavery at a young age, whatever it is. We don't need backstory, right, Joey? But Joey, let's get a little.
Yes, I agree.
We're about the apocalypse here at Apocalypse Soon. Kevin will tell you.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, you are very concerned with the quality. You take great pride in your sandwiches, and one of the things you talk about is the bread. And you say the bread makes the sandwich.
Yes.
Would you still be like baking bread if we were in the apocalypse? Like, I think the apocalypse is coming. And what I mean by apocalypse, Joey, just so you know where I'm coming from, is the breakdown. The breakdown.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, nuclear. I don't think it'll be nuclear, even though the doomsday clock. You know about the doomsday clock, Joey?
I do. I just watched a bone-chilling video of Noam Chomsky talking about it. It was a snippet from an interview that ended with him saying, it's not that everyone will die, but the ones that die sooner will be the lucky ones.
When that is said... When that is said, it's time for a sandwich. And by the way, and by the way, I think that would be great advertising for when this shit goes down, like a Chomsky quote like that, and that's why we have the new. What's your most popular sandwich right now? What is your most popular?
Beefy.
The beefy.
That's good.
And that's why we have the beefy. For those of you who have survived, Mr. Chomsky may not have taken into account great sandwiches can still be had at Joey Rose's. We're not a bar, just a bar. We're not just a sandwich shop. We're a social club.
That's right.
And come on down.
We still serve quality sandwiches for the same low price of 3 teeth, 3 human teeth, whatever the currency becomes after it's all gone.
Oh, what the currency is going to become is anybody's guess.
I was going to ask you a question.
Yes, do so, please. I know you have a podcast, which is a great podcast about food and very funny.
Thank you. It's Taste Buds. Thank you very much, Eddie. And I do another podcast with Pat Walsh called We'll See You in Hell, where we review movies. And Pat is hilarious, and he loves you. He's such a fan.
Oh, that's great. I tell him if he's in any kind of hiring capacity. Tell him I am available. Go ahead now. Okay. About what you were going to say.
I tell him that all the time. How is anybody able to think straight, right? I don't understand. I can see it crumbling in front of my eyes every day. I live in New York. You see it. You know?
Yeah, what do you see that instills fear in you? What do you see in New York?
You see it, everything starts on the smallest scale, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the first sign is always general social interaction, period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You see a brazenness coming into people much more frequently on the street. You see people acting in a much more like sort of autonomous way, and not in the way of we're all plugged into this ant colony together. And that's the small scale of it, And then you turn on the local news, and the feed of everything being on the rise around you comes in, and then you turn on the national news, and then it just builds and builds. But I mean, we're at a time. It's incredible. I don't know that we've ever been there before. We're in a time of absolute zero leadership in our country. Zero leadership.
Someone else pointed that out to me recently. We have zero fucking leadership. I'm going to give you a couple of things to help your mental health. One is turn off the fucking news. The local news, by the way, is the most hilariously shitty thing ever. The local news. And it's the same everywhere. It all is, the first story is something fucking horrible. Like a woman today in Midtown Manhattan was pushed in front of the F train. And the great tragedy about that was that so many people had places to go, and the F really was delayed for a long time. Right. We have Frank Johnson, who is down at the F train, and he's right by the wheels where this woman was completely mashed. Frank, what can you tell? Is there anything recognizable in this woman? And do you have a name? Jill, I am down here, and she is basically, I was able to get an eye, and I am going to have it laminated and give it to my child for Christmas. But this woman is...
That's, by the way, when I say on the social level, that's one of the things that's happening on the social level frequently in New York now is these train shoves. And then you hear about that along with the knockouts, like old women getting knocked out, like people punching old people in the head.
Jeez, that is fucked up. Is that really happening in Yeah. That really is like something so horrible. Yeah. And it does break down the society, because then what happens is what's going on with you, which is you get into, okay, there is evil out there and I have to protect myself against it. And it's like it becomes an us versus them or me versus them thing. And you feel fucking isolated. I'll tell you, man, I don't know about these. I mean, I remember that when Rick Moranis got punched. Yeah. Yeah. And when you start punching, Rock got slapped, Moranis got punched. What's next? Is there going to be full-fledged stabbings of, like, I don't know, Colbert?
Yeah. Stephen Colbert was hit with a slingshot today. It's been talked to death, so I'm not trying to get into a discussion about the Oscar slap, but as absurd as it was and as crazy as it was, all these things, my takeaway from that was that was a very traumatic moment And I said that the reason why was our country has been a drunk dad for quite a few years now. And we finally saw the drunk dad hit mom in the kitchen. It was at the party. It was supposed to be a nice night.
Yeah.
And it was the moment where you realized nothing, it's over. It's fucking over. All of it is transparent. It is all collapsing. And it's just horrible. So how do you
And
get
that's
through the
why
day?
you should have a beefy. By the way, that again is a great ad. like I'm telling you, the commercials should be tailored like that now. First, it's talk about random, knockouts, subway pushes, how the underbelly was shown during the Oscars, then into the sandwich.
Here in New York City, a person is pushed in front of a moving train every 15 minutes. That's just about the amount of time it would take you to eat one of our delicious sandwiches. So come get a beefy before you get shoved in front of a train.
Or come get a beefy that you can eat while the person who was shoved gets cleaned up.
That's right.
From the wheels. Now, as you can see, and I've always been like this, I don't know about you, Kev, and I don't know about you, Joe, but I deal with fucking tragedy through humor. I mean, I really do. I was there in New York when the Twin Towers went down, and I hate to say it, but I was making jokes immediately. I ran down to the Trade Center with the Mr. Mike. Those Mr. Mikes, those fake microphones that you have a little boom. And I ran down to the Trade Center and I was like, I was doing a news character going, oh my God, there's so much dust down here. Lemon Pledge is not going to help this.
Wait, did you really do this?
No. I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm not an idiot. I'm just saying that was a extreme example of dealing with tragedy through humor, like when I took piano wire to my dad and strangled him to death, I immediately had a set at Flappers in Burbank.
Great set.
That helped.
Great
it helped.
set.
You should have done it on stage at Flappers.
I'm being
do
silly.
too.
Like that random violence thing is so heavy duty, and there's something about New York. You don't hear about people being pushed in front of threshers in Kansas.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and it's the thing. It's like people like to say things like, well, why don't you just get away from it? Why don't you just not turn the phone on? Why don't you just not go on Instagram? Why don't you just not all these things? And it's like, and how do you propose I run any one of my businesses without doing those things?
Right.
You can't shut the phone off. I get time sensitive messages from different arenas throughout the day that I need to respond to. I have to go on Instagram and Twitter to promote what I'm doing. I have to.
Yes.
I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And then that means you're on the internet. And then if you're on the internet and you want to check this, you want to check that, you're going to end up checking something else. You're going to end, by the way, not even on purpose.
Yeah,
Going to your bank website to check your balance or whatever, you're getting pop-up ads about shit you don't want to see or don't care about.
That's another great example of collapse. And that's why you should have the provolone and avocado. But no, another example.
Oh, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry. I was just trying to name different things.
I got you.
I like thinly sliced things. I just know a guy who can't slice things thin because of his slicer. It's not calibrated properly, and he's just trying to make a go out of it in the slicing world, the slicing business, which can be cutthroat. But it's like, I'm like, well, Frankie, why don't you get the calibration fixed? He goes, right now, I don't have the money. And I'm like, hey, don't do a fucking stereotypical Italian accent on me, Frank.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'm sorry. I just thought it would work. And I'm like, nothing works anymore, Frankie. But one of the things, you kind of alluded to was all the spam. And I want to say on top of that, I had my bank account information stolen. I asked the guy cool guy in my federal credit union, I was like, so how often does this happen? Fraud. He goes, you don't want to know how much fraud goes on. And what the fuck? People are just out to make some money because the economies of the world are crazily fucked, by war, by famine. I mean, this is the breakdown. And that's why you should have, and you fill in, I don't want to fuck up your sandwiches again.
Peanut butter and jelly with potato chips. We spare no expense at Joey Rose's.
Is that for the kids or the vegans?
For everybody.
Oh,
for everybody.
People love
everything is for everybody now. Did you not know that?
Yeah. No, I know it. I know it. But here's the thing. So I just want to address what you brought up, which is, the anxiety, the depression that can crush you during this time if you're an aware person. Let me tell you, you have to kind of fucking you're connected to the comedy community. I think the answers are being connected to communities of people that you feel good about. And, not only do you have comedy, Joey, but you also have, the sandwich thing, which I'm sure you have a bunch of regulars. And that must make you feel connected to the city, I would think. And the community, Lower East Side you're in, right?
Yeah, and it does. It makes you feel very connected to your community, which is really nice, especially in the Lower East Side, because the Lower East Side is one of the last real neighborhoods on the main island.
Wow.
This really is one of the last places where you see a lot of independent business happening, and you see people supporting one another, and you see people sort of sticking to their neighborhood in the sense of wanting to support it and enjoying it and enjoying that they are surrounded by things they want to partake in versus going to another place because the shop over there has this and that. So that's great. And then also and then also the experience of working with the staff and my business partner and all these things has been a really beautiful one. And then getting to know the bar community, the people around us that also have establishments that are eating our food and learning who we are and supporting us and all that. It's been amazing.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's nice. And the way it crosses over with comedy is the comedy community have been really supportive. Comics come through all the time. Comedy fans come through all the time.
Oh, nice.
So having that core audience for it, and then in addition to the other customers and the neighborhood people that are coming in just because it's a new spot or they want to try it or whatever the reason is, it's been truly amazing. It's been truly amazing. And it is something, look, there's always going to be bullshit. There's always going to be a landlord to deal with, and there's always going to be some city ordinance that sucks, or, somebody's breaking your balls about something or whatever it is. However, the one beautiful thing is the experience itself, the actual experience of spending time in the establishment and the exchange between you and the patrons, whether they're friends or not, is very honest. It's very pure.
Yeah.
There's no nonsense to any of it. We're not, you know what I mean? Like, it's
and these evil fuckers, who push people in front of trains or fucking randomly punch an old person. I mean, they're definitely in the minority, and that's, something that is also good to fucking remind yourself. And also, may I suggest another thing for you, which is, why don't you put yourself in the position of these people who push people in front of a train? Just push someone in front of a train, see how it feels, and you know what I mean? Like, you push someone in front of a train, and
I'd like to build up to it. I would maybe shove you in front of a dog first.
There you go.
See how that
felt. In front of a dog.
And in front of a walking pedestrian.
Yeah.
than in front of maybe a go-kart. You know what I mean? I'd have to build up to train. I don't think I'd have to. I don't
Horse
think I
and
could go right
carriage.
to.
You know, when I was
Yeah, there you go.
When
Yeah.
I was a boy in New York City, I was a bike messenger. I saw some incredible accidents of people getting mowed down by bikes
Oh shit.
Yeah.
in the city. You know, just people getting mowed down. I'm talking about professors, lawyers, you know, hitmen.
Right. Right.
A lot of hitmen in Midtown. By the
People
way,
that- yeah.
I just wanted to address one point, was the way that the Lower East Side is one of the last neighborhoods left in New York City. The oligarchs buying up everything, and they are fucking up everything globally. You know how you have to stop it, and nobody wants to do this, and that's why it hasn't been stopped, is, you know, you take yourself a nice beefy with you, and you fucking lay down and block everything. There's a group, and I always promote them, called Extinction Rebellion. They fucking shut down London, you know, trying to get politicians to, you know, address climate issues. You're right. The machine is unbelievably unstoppable and big. And that's why we bake our bread every fucking day.
Yeah. Speaking of machines, the oven we have here at Joey Rose is pretty impressive. We bake a nice bread in it. Yeah, no, I mean, it's,
You know?
yeah, I hear you. You know, the days of, I don't know. I'm a big enthusiast of Jimmy Hoffa. I find his life fascinating, and I love reading about him and learning about him. And I personally think, sadly, those days are past. It's like when they were building the Teamsters Union, they literally would fist fight cops. Like, that was it. They'd be like, we're gonna do a walkout here. We're gonna protest, and cops are gonna come down and fuck with us, and we're gonna fight them until they arrest us and put us in jail. And then we get out and we go right back to the line.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
like, I just don't think you could ever. I'm not saying I want to get out in the street and fist fight cops. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is,
I mean, for me and you, those days may have passed. Especially for me, I have acid reflux now, and to fight anyone is just a chore. You know.
yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah, man, unionization, though, is happening a little bit around the country. It has to. People are pushed to the brink. Amazon just unionized in fucking Staten Island, which is awesome.
Hell yeah.
And that's part of, you know, being part of a community. But Joey, we're going to let you go. Where is your sandwich shop? What do you want to plug before we let you go?
I would love to just plug the shop. Joey Rose's, 174 Rivington Street. I promise when you come in, it'll be light conversation. These aren't the kinds of talks in the bar. It's a great time. It's fun. We're open Tuesday through Sunday. We open at 12 p.m. every day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, we close at midnight. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we close at 2 a.m. We bake the bread fresh daily. We serve sandwiches until we run out of fresh bread. And go to joeyrosesnyc.com for any information about the spot, or if you want to order online or whatever. And that's it. Please come by.
Awesome.
Please.
So cool.
Awesome, Joey.
Thanks, guys.
Love you, buddy. Thank you for coming on. And
Well, yeah.
you know, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Breathe.
Yes.
You know, one thing. Whenever I panic, and then I go outside the house, it's an old Bill Hicks routine. It's like everything seems to be so okay
Yeah.
when I walk outside. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
tense-
Well, as you say, that sirens are going by my apartment.
I was going to say in L.A., you know, the homeless tents are up and running. Everybody seems to be, you know, just trying to make the best of it. All right, Joey.
Yeah.
Love you,
All
man.
right. See you, buddy. Thanks, bud. Bye.
Thanks for coming on. That was Joe DeRosa, who has a sandwich shop called Joey Rose's on the Lower East Side on Rivington. And love Joey. And, you know, I'm glad he joined us. And we will be right back. Don't go away. Apocalypse soon. It will be over soon, folks. The podcast with no upside.
As Russian forces pummel through Ukraine, Peloton asks maybe this is the right time for an exercise bike. Nuclear war may be imminent, and if you don't want to be stuck without something to pedal, Peloton. The end is almost here.
Hey, everybody, thanks for listening to Apocalypse Soon, the podcast with no upside, the podcast that hurts, the podcast that goes into your pain and comes out the other side, and still everything is fucked. I need a better vocabulary, but listen, I want you guys to help out a little bit. Become a Patreon member so I don't have to swim in the shit you swim in. Okay? Patreon.com/Eddie Pepitone. You give me a little money, very little money monthly. You get free stuff. You get all kinds of nice things. You get things first. You get, clips of my stand-up that nobody else will see. That we sent a clip of my stand-up recently to Patreon members, and it was a hilarious bit about April Fools. Will I do it now? No. Unless you're a Patreon member. Patreon.com/Eddie Pepitone. And also another great thing you can do is write a review, right, Kev?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, write a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's the best way that you can help let people know about Eddie and the show. And then send us an email to eddiepeppodcast@gmail.com. And it's just nice. It's nice to hear from the people, right?
Absolutely.
It's good.
Absolutely. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you soon.